Welcome back to High School DxD, Episode 5. This one we're reviewing the third season of the show, Born New. This season is adapted from books 5 through 7. I thought it was book 8. Yeah, the season doesn't take anything from book 8. It's basically books 5, 6, and 7. Now, the first few episodes are taken from book 5. What happens in book 5? The Occult Club takes a trip to the underworld. They do, in fact, cut out some stuff from the light novel. I mean, the ending of the light novel, that's actually not there until, like, episode 29. Yeah, that's when that happens. Yeah, they put the ending of that book at part of episode 29. I mean, the episode begins pretty much how the light novel begins, with Issei in bed with Rias and Asha. They'll both sleep naked anyways. Yeah, though he's having nightmares about his first girlfriend, which this did not happen in the light novel. No, this actually, stuff related to her didn't happen to book 10, from what I've heard. I haven't read book 10 yet, but yeah, that's what I've heard happens. So, pretty much they decided to take a trip in the world because, well, it's on vacation, so they do some training. In the light novel, there's actually a lot more stuff that happens in the light novel that doesn't make it to the anime. Okay, they do keep the train trip to there, though they don't have it where Rias is actually in another portion of the car. He's actually in the same car as everybody else because of higher class thing. My guess is they changed it because it would not make much sense to do that. So they probably got permission from the writer of light novels to do that. And also the student council president, vice president, and Sanji are there. Though apparently it's kind of hinted in the previous season that Sanji and the student council president, it's implied that she's in love with him. It's very heavily implied. And the VP has a thing for Kiba. Yep, it's very, in the case of what happened with Kiba, yeah, in the case between these two, I would not be surprised these two got together. So yeah, they arrive at the end of the world. Proceed somewhat there. Now, how they get to Rias' house, this is actually changed because the anime just magically get there just by a simple cut. In the light novel, they get there via carriage after they arrive in the underworld. Yeah, I don't know why they cut out this particular scene. It was actually pretty interesting seeing the light novel. I don't know why they cut it out for, but they did. And they get there. Now, when they meet Rias' mother, it proceeds pretty much how it's presented in the light novel, except they do kind of change the location of where they. From what I can tell, I think they did change the room of where they met her in, but it's the same exact scene, which I do appreciate them doing that. And Rias having pretty much the same lines from the light novel, where it's telling Issei, "Don't make hot eyes at my mother." And of course, Rias' mother remembers Issei from the engagement party. And of course, when they show a flashback to the engagement party in this episode, they actually put in there a line, like part of the line that was actually from the light novel and the manga, where he was there because he wanted Rias' virginity. That's the reason why he was there. Yeah, I'm a little surprised they put that in the dub, despite the fact when they aired the actual episode itself, they changed the line. I honestly don't know why they changed the line for, but they did. And of course, they do not have it where now in the light novel, Issei goes through some more, well, aside from training with the dragon, he does go on to go more training besides. He knows he's taught good manners, he's taught to eat properly, and he's also taught how to dance. I get maybe cutting out the whole thing of cutting out him to eat properly because what I can see in the anime, he eats with good tail manners. So my guess is the reason why they cut that out because they probably think that was necessary to do. But it would have been nice if they kept in the ballroom class minor thing from the light novel, but they didn't do that. Yeah, as a matter of fact, Rias' mother doesn't really appear that much in these episodes. No, she hardly plays a role at all. I mean, she appears more in the light novel than she does actually in this series. She appears in like roughly at least two or three episodes. And of course, the whole montage of them going through the various training they went through, pretty much mostly presented how it's from the light novel. There's not really much change there, with the exception of Issei's training. Then, of course, they get to the party they have later. This is actually kind of trimmed down a bit because They don't have the scene. Now, they do have the scene when the room is wrecked. They do have that. They actually cut off the scene where there was actually a lot more fighting going on. Instead of just having two people, they cut that down for some reason. I don't know why, but they did. And then pretty much mostly put from this point forward, once they resume the party, it presumes pretty much exactly how the Light Novel presented it, especially how Loki's defeated. Yeah, Loki shows up in here. Now this is not Loki from Marvel Comics. No, this is Loki. This is this universe version of Loki where he looks. In case you're wondering, no, he does not look anything like Tom Hiddleston or the Marvel Comics version. This is a completely different version altogether. This one, like the one from Marvel Comics, is based upon the one from Norse mythology. This is their take on it. Odin, for some reason, is depicted like Zeus, where he's a pervert, where he's basically always going after various women. Now I'm thinking, that's not Odin, that's Zeus. I don't know why they changed it for, but they did. But the guy who voiced him, fantastic choice to voice Odin of all people. In case you're fans of Fairy Tail, it's the guy who voices Makarov. Yeah, he's actually in the series. The guy who voices Loki is actually the voice of Tien from DBZ. I'm not kidding. This is probably by far the first series I've seen this guy in outside of the Dragon Ball franchise. Yeah, and of course he brings in Ferris Wolf. Yeah, I can tell this is freaking Ferris Wolf. And he brings in one of them, and of course now after this, and after he's defeated, they go face off against it again. Now this actually happens in the 7th light novel. For some reason they moved it up here. For some reason, probably because they want to get stuff done earlier than usual. From what I've heard, it was the light novels writer's idea to rearrange some stuff. Fine, since he gave the approval to do this, so why the heck not? So they have their fight, and they pretty much defeat they kill two of the wolves, and one of them is captured by the Chaos Brigade. Oh yeah, and Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, shows up. Now I'm thinking, Mjolnir. Stan Lee came up with that name for Thor's hammer. My guess is the writer must have used the name for Thor's hammer because, well, in the original Norse mythology, Thor's hammer did not have a name. It was simply just called Thor's hammer. Mjolnir was a name that Stan Lee himself, he made up this word. He made up this word himself. As far as I know, he's one who, as far as I know about this, he made up this word. It's a silly name, but for some reason they call it Mjolnir, even though original mythology they don't refer to it as that at all. In the show they refer to it as that. My guess is the reason why they did this because the Thor live action films. That's probably the reason why that the writer probably did it, is because Thor's been popular for the past, I could say probably like almost 10 years now in live action, so that's my personal guess. That, and probably the writer probably is a big fan of the Marvel Comics version of Thor. So even though, yes, he threw in a lot of stuff from Norse mythology in here, also, there's a character named Son Goku in here, and this character is a little ripoff of Goku from DBZ. How? Well, Birdo as the Monkey King, because, well, Goku turns to a monkey. He has a power staff, power pole, which he tells it to extend, and he even says Flying Nimbus. Yeah, the creator must be also a fan, not only Norse mythology, but also Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, that particular series basically is inspiration for a lot of franchises. I know Naruto is basically taking inspiration for that one, and apparently High School DxD loves it too. Apparently Red is a big fan of it as well. I mean, many people pointed out, I'm sure a lot of people will probably point out that DBZ, the Dragon Ball manga is pretty much heavily inspired a good generation of series since it's come out, like Naruto, and of course, loose inspiration for this character, Son Goku. Though I should point out, though, this character looks nothing like Goku from DBZ at all. He's not an alien. He's just a supernatural figure in this series. My guess is he's probably based upon the Japanese, what probably Goku himself is based upon, probably from one of the Japanese myths. That's probably what he's based on. But the whole thing of the power pole and the flying nimbus, that's from Dragon Ball Z. I don't know why he did it for, but he did. Also, there's a character named Arthur in here. Now, I have heard this is Arthur Pendragon. Yes, Arthur from King Arthur lore is in the series. They had Excalibur, so why not have King Arthur? Though there's no mention of Camelot or his knight, just King Arthur himself, and he's part of the Team Vale. Yep. And of course, Kiniko, we get a little bit backstory on her in these few episodes. and apparently she's appreciating Issei more because the rest of the time you see her in the series, when they're in the cult room having their like regular meetings, guess where she sits? Because normally she sits like far away from Issei. Now she sits in his lap, like every time. And apparently Issei has got no problem with this woman sitting on his lap because she's like a cat. Because she actually is sort of a cat. Yep. Let's see. Then right after they do the whole battle with Loki, which really awesome battle, and they defeated him by, well, first it looked like Issei died. Yeah, not the first time. Yeah, he actually does die again in the light novels. He apparently gets killed off the end of book 8. Though he comes back at the end of the next book. This is what I've heard anyways, read a line. But I'll read the light novel, give it my own perspective when I get a chance to read book 11. Yeah, he comes back, uses the tears of the Phoenix, which they got before they went to the battle. And then he got his hand, and then he was given his own tear of Phoenix. It was not given to him by Reese's mother. This was actually given to him by Reese's little sister, who, I should point out though, when she pops up in here, there's very hints that she's fallen in love with him. It's not revealed till later the reason why. When I get a chance to talk about season 4, I'll talk about exactly how she fell in love with him. Yeah, it seems like almost every woman in this series falls in love with Issei except for the student council president. She's probably the only one I could think of. Her and her VP are probably the only two women who are around Issei's age who do not fall in love. Heck. Also, they also had new characters this particular series with this season. They had Arena joins the school. She gets roles in there, and she later on, and she starts living with Issei. This actually happens just after return from the underworld. Yeah, so she frequently, and she's also a reincarnated angel. This was confirmed a little bit early on. And of course, Odin's bodyguard was introduced in the previous arc. She becomes she sort of helps him out, and then later on at the end of the season, she, of course, is living with Issei and gets hired on as a teacher at Issei's school. What does she teach? Civics. I actually took civics in high school, so yeah. Pretty simple idea for her to do. And she's very good at teaching because she helped Asha and Zenobia with their homework. So that's probably how she was able to get her job. And the whole thing with book 6, from what I can tell, mostly they kept a lot of stuff from book 6. Like this guy who Issei basically, Issei's attitude toward him is pretty much exactly the same as this from the light novel. I'm glad they didn't change this at all. He despises this guy. And pretty much this guy gets killed by one of his own allies because it's really part of the Chaos Brigade. And he doesn't do a raiding game. And he also does the whole dress break thing like he usually does. But apparently it's not affecting the rooks and pawns because the whole embarrassment thing. So he uses a new ability. This is kind of hinted at the previous season where he gets a chance to have the women's breast reveal their strategies. Yes, I'm not kidding. This is actual ability he has. Yeah, where he, aside from the whole dress break thing, he has another ability where he has these women's breasts actually reveal their inner thoughts. Yeah, basically reading their hearts. Yeah, basically he causes their breasts to talk. Yeah, it's one of the most hilarious scenes to see. But you have to be adult to watch this because I do not recommend this for little kids. Yeah. And of course they would defeat the pawns, and then he takes on this jerk, Dagori, I think it's they pronounce the guy's name. He beats him. Yeah, he beats him pretty easily. As he goes to his balance break, which he practiced this. After he beats him, then he frees Asha with a dress break, which not only rips her clothes, but apparently it also can break seals. It's kind of a special addition to his ability, which is nice. And Asha prays as she disappears. Issei gets really ticked off that she disappeared. And then he basically just beats the crap out of, well, the guy who killed, he actually kills him in his Juggernaut mode. Eventually, Reyes had to calm him down. Yeah, then pretty much after that, they went home, and then, like, right after that, like, it seemed like gnawing afterwards was practicing for the three-legged race. Then, of course, then becomes some filler stuff. Yes, the season's got filler. The end of the final episode, the second last episode of the season leads into the final episode of the season, where it's an entire filler episode. It does not happen. It's all original to the anime. Though they do hint at stuff later on, where Reyes is kidnapped again. Second time in the series, he's been kidnapped. This time she's kidnapped by a doppelganger of Issei, though how this happens is very bizarrely explained. Apparently Loki put a curse on the two of them, and now from what I read, he was sealed, and apparently they changed it to where in the filler he apparently is in a jail cell and he's chained up. I thought he was sealed, like where he couldn't move. Apparently he's in a jail cell now for some reason. He confessed that yeah, he's behind all this. And of course they kind of get permission to ask the Chaos Brigade, because they actually did visit the Void, because it was revealed that they had rescued Asha from the Void, from the dimension time. They rescued her because they were there looking for a gigantic dragon. Yes, a dragon that's the size of Agilogia from Fairy Tail. I'm not kidding. It's pretty much the size of that. And they do find him. He doesn't come out. You do get a chance to see him a couple times. First in canon stuff, then in filler stuff. Then, of course, after they sort of free her, and then she goes to like another mode. Apparently, the doppelganger Issei kind of merged with her, and she got her own balance maker armor, which is more of a skimpy version to that of Issei's. Eventually, he's able to free her from the control, and he kills the doppelganger, and they get lost in space between dimensions, and it's kind of implied in his filler that he kind of confesses his love for Issei, confesses love for Rias. They make out, and then they get back, and apparently they don't remember a damn thing. My guess is the reason why they did that, because it's filler, and they probably don't want to affect the canon of the series, because Issei does not confess to Rias his feelings for her until book 10. Yeah. And of course, that's when Odin's small bodyguard, Ron Sweets, I think that's pronounced, she's also a Valkyrie. She not only becomes a teacher of the school, she also becomes the second Rook for Rias' team. That actually is canon. But most of this episode is actually not canon. It's all, I would say about 90% of this episode is filler. I would say the last 5 minutes are actual canon stuff, which is good. I don't have a problem with it. The filler stuff was fine. I have a really big problem with it. It's a really good, nice, touching moment. But it was a really good fight scene, really heartbreaking, depressing, and yeah, really damn good season. I didn't have a really big problem with the fact they rearranged stuff. Yeah, but I gotta say, for the stuff in book 6, I'm glad they kept all of that in order. I thought it was odd though. They kind of instead of ending it where book 5 ended, they moved that ending until the end of basically what they adapted from book 7, and then of course they went there from forward. It's odd though they didn't do anything book 8. I've read book 8. It is one of the most bizarre books I've ever read. Where most of the book you have, it's where the 3 major events happen in the 8th book. First thing that happens is that Rias and Asha for most of the book is to return to children, and then this is later revealed to be an experiment by Azazel, and then Issei gets turned after Rias and Asha get turned back to normal age, the actual age, and Issei gets turned to a child, and then apparently there's many duplicates of him, and they're all doing dress break, basically stripping all the girls in the school butt naked, and then they have that. Of course, that basically is nonsensical. The only thing important that happens in that entire light novel is that Rias and Issei go through ritual to prove that these two are, let's say, qualified to marry each other. And they pass. I'm a little surprised they didn't put this in the actual season. I don't think it's in season 4. I don't think so. I have to take a look at it when I get a chance to watch. But yeah, this is a pretty damn good season. It's just surprising they didn't have anything book 8. Well, they did kind of do that for season 1, but the rest of it happens in book 8. Also, they did hint at something this season that does happen in book 8, that there's a children's show. Yeah, this is from the actual series itself, where there's a children's show that was inspired by Issei, where he's basically his balanced pick armor, and Rias is also a character in the series, so she's referred to as the Crimson Princess. And, of course, the theme song is nothing more than a sex joke. I'm not kidding. It's all about groping breast. Yeah, I have no idea why this is. And this is a kid's show. And there's a lot of references to breast in the song. I'm like, seriously? This is probably not something for kids to watch. I'm kind of glad that the Funimation didn't dub the song, because, yeah, it'd be kind of weird to listen to this thing in English. because you get a chance to see the subtitle for it, which is fine. Yeah. Otherwise, though, this is actually pretty damn good. It's actually a pretty good season. I like the fact they threw in stuff in Norse mythology in here. I thought was really nice. And throwing in some Goku, and of course, revealing. Also, they also have a scene here that's actually is from the light novel. Almost forgot to mention this. Where Anako tries to get Issei almost to have sex with him, but yeah, that's where the bilingual stuff comes in. That's where she also reconciles with her father. Yeah, and her father, it's revealed that her father basically was not there when her mother was murdered right in front of her. hmm Yeah, and of course, then she cooks him like a lunch, and also I thought this was really cute. Well, right after she does that, she has Issei try some pot roast, and she's about to give him food, and she decides to kiss him right there. Yep. And of course, when Aja gets rescued at the end of her thing, she also kisses Issei. So this season he gets kissed by Aja and Anako. Yeah, they're the only two who make out with him. This was also really this funny scene where they're preparing for the Herlager race, where Asha and Issei are in the shed getting some stuff out, and then Zenobia just comes in, closes the door, and then she and Asha just take their tops off and just try to do what Issei. Doesn't go anywhere. Like, let's make babies. She's like, let's make babies right now. It's not exactly, it's paraphrasing what she's saying, but that's what she really wanted to do right now. This is the second time she did this. She does this like several other times when she tries to seduce Issei, but they get frequently interrupted. Yeah, but this happens like pretty like right after, like not long after they come back from the world. But yeah, really good season. I really kind of enjoyed it. So that's it for this particular review. I can't think of anything else I forgot. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. When they went to rescue Rias, they did it as a false flag operation, where even if they are caught, they will be sort of disavowed in a way, kind of like what they was the Suicide Squad, because they can't exactly ask the Chaos Blade because they couldn't legally do it, so they did it like independently. But they didn't help rescue Rias. All they did was help him get to the Void, and that was it. They got out pretty much on their own. Yeah. Yeah, that's really it. So stay tuned later on for my review of the 1 OVA and the 6 shorts. Enjoy. See you there. Bye.